The Mandalorian Season 3 has officially ended, so let's talk about it. Hey friends, welcome back to the Disney Pastor. I'm your host Tim, and before we get into all of this, obviously spoilers for the season, so go watch it, then come back. But I'm excited to talk about this because we've been waiting a few years for this season now. Last season came out in 2020. So it's been 3 years, almost 3 years, since we were able to journey with Grogu and Din for more than a couple episodes. Before we do that, let me know in the comments down below, what is your thoughts on the season? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What was your favorite episode? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the good.
Ooh, that's good.
It's just fun being with these characters. Din has become one of my favorite Star Wars characters, and Grogu is, well, Grogu. He's cute.
Yes.
Another thing I really enjoyed about this season in particular is seeing some other characters get a chance to shine. Seeing characters like Bo-Katan and Paz Vizsla get a chance to be in more of the spotlight was pretty cool to see, and something I personally enjoyed a lot about this season in particular. One of the other things I really enjoyed about this season is connecting the past and the future. Seeing, of course, another look at Order 66. How long are they going to make us suffer with this sequence?
Emotional damage!
Anyways, connecting stuff like that, but also connecting into the future. Name-dropping characters like Hux and cloning and all these other things are honestly really, really cool. And it's something that will hopefully help the sequels out just a little bit. In the same way the Clone Wars helped the prequels out, I'm hoping that some series moving forward help the sequels out. Because boy do they need it. But let's move on to the average.
Something good, something bad, a bit of both.
One of the things I somewhat liked, and also somewhat didn't, is the fact that it wasn't the same style as the last two seasons. The last two seasons were more an adventure and episode. Sure, they had a overarching narrative throughout the entire, season, but this one felt a little more kind of free-flowing, which is good, but also bad, because you do have some choppiness and just some out-of-place stuff in this season. The other thing I am not the biggest fan of is Moff Gideon. And it's not to say that Giancarlo Esposito did a bad job. No, that's not what I'm saying. I don't want to say that. He's the last guy I want to mess with.
Assume that I know everything.
But what I am saying is, he showed up extremely late in this season, and he just kind of felt like he was thrown in there towards the end to have just a climactic battle, and I don't know, it just felt very weird. Now, don't get me wrong, it was great to see him, and I love that he had his whole, armor and stuff. I thought that was cool, but just overall, it could have been done a lot better. With that out of the way, let's move on to some of the bad.
I have a bad feeling about this.
One of the things about this season in particular that I was not a big fan of, while it was okay, is its free-flowing nature. Now, again, some of it was good, but for the most part, there are still episodes in this series that felt extremely out of place. It felt like they were trying to put too much into this season and connect narratives for shows like Ahsoka and other shows to come and movies and all this other stuff. And it just felt very odd for a series called The Mandalorian. Now sure, was it fun to explore New Republic Coruscant? Yeah, it was. Was it necessary? No, I don't think so. Was it fun to see Jack Black in Star Wars? Absolutely. Was it necessary?
Yes.
For me, my biggest issues come in episode 3 and episode 6. And it's not to say these episodes are terrible, but they definitely are the weakest of the entire series. And while I enjoyed seeing characters like Bo-Katan and Paz Vizsla get a chance to shine. I mean, this series is called The Mandalorian, and granted, while Rick, one of the producers, says The Mandalorian can be anybody, we know who The Mandalorian is. And thus, sometimes Din and Grogu were sidelined. And that was frustrating a little bit for me. Again, I enjoyed Din Djarin. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. But that was a little irksome. Overall, this season is pretty solid. I'm going to give it a solid B tier.
Another happy landing.
Again, it's pretty good. And how they ended it was done very, very well. For the most part. Some things probably could have been tweaked a little bit. But it was done very well. The best episode of the season is definitely episode 7. And that kind of wraps up my thoughts on the season. Let me know in the comments down below again, what were your thoughts on this season? I would sure like to hear it. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe down below and hit the bell to be notified for more videos just like this one. And I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.